All right, all right, all right, all right. Who is this? This is David, and it's Tuesday, the 27th. Good morning, and I'm getting a slow start. But hey, while I got your attention, subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like. I really appreciate it. Um, Everybody who makes a little contribution through Patreon and other channels we make available in the description. Um, Thanks a lot. Helps me keep the channel going, keeps me motivated, helps me look for ways to help you. So help me help you. And even with a like or what have you, but yeah, the contributions go a long way. And tell a friend. So normally, right about now, I'd be telling you to join me 9 o'clock live to trade, but I'm taking care of some tribal elders right now, and I just can't do it today either. But I'm back tomorrow for certain. I think one more day this week I might have to help out a little bit, but that's what you do for your tribal elders, and that's why they procreate. So they got a little support in their older years, and I'm happy to do it. So, well, actually, that's not true. I'm not happy to do it. I'm actually goes against my nature, but I'm doing it. But I'm enjoying the company. So, yeah, that's it. Let's get right to. That's funny. I watch a lot of YouTubers, and they always go, "Yeah," to their own things, and I always say, "Yeah, yeah, that's something I don't want to do," and I just did it. Yeah. Um, but I digress, and this is what happens when the coffee is slow to come. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. So normally, yeah, I buy grind coffee, but I like good coffee. Um, but I'm reading up on coffee to get a better understanding of it, and I just found that when you buy pre-ground coffee for a drip or a perk or what have you, it's already stale. So if you grind the coffee, it goes stale very quick. So basically, unless you're buying from a roaster with a stamp, your coffee is relatively stale, what you're accustomed to. And I really enjoy coffee. So I started searching out beans, and then once you get the beans, then you got to master your grind. You got to get the right grind. So this is like a little something I've been focusing on for the past week or so. So I think I've done it. I think I've actually figured out the right grind, at least on this bean. But with all the action in the house, they ripped through my coffee bean, and I'm gonna have to get some more bean up here. But yeah, it's really good. And I'll tell you, the best coffee that I've ever experienced. I was in Laos, and I was actually taking a walk through Laos and started up in Luang Prabang, which is up in the north, and worked my way all the way down. I think it was Paxi, well, all the way down to Cambodia, and then I hopped out at Cambodia. Took a raft down the Mekong, all sorts of stuff. It was really great, on foot. And I like to travel like that. I just grab a bag, like maybe 2 pairs of jeans, a couple of socks and boots. I wash my shit along the way, either in a river or a sink, whatever I have to do. And I just make my way through the country. And usually my girlfriend comes with me. She's down for that. And then we've dragged our kids on adventures like that, which, I mean, that's not really my bag. I mean, it's very cool to see them. I've got some amazing pictures and amazing places of me, my children, and I when we were younger. But I mean, still, you got to be a parent, and I don't want to be a parent. I want to be an explorer. I want to, just focus on that. But anyhow, we came across this old plantation, and literally people pick a bean by hand, and they're roasting it right there on open pits, these big like concrete and stone fire pits, and they're roasting the coffee right there, by hand, and all like this is all the handiwork of very young children. And oh man, some of the best coffee in the world I ever had, and it was all bean. So we brought some back. And obviously that's gone because that was many, many years ago. But yeah, just think back on that. But the experience was the best. I could remember this girl, man. She had to be like maybe 14 years old. I mean, she was ripped. Her body was just ripped, because of so much manual labor, I guess. And she was a pretty girl, and she was standing behind this huge roaster with like a metal plank, really, not metal. I'm sorry, a wooden plank, very thin, maybe 1/4 inch thick, and she was using that to slowly turn the bean. And the bean was laid out flat on almost like a fryer table, and the table was made out of a big rock, and it was just heating up, and she would like scoop under the bean and give it a slow turn, and it was almost zen-like how she did it, how she moved, and I sat there for like, I don't know, like 20 minutes just watching her, with these flames coming out from the sides of this big stone, while she's cooking it. And, you could see the sweat building up on her. And then, you think about the Western girls at 14 years old, on the phone or bitching about something, or, just their childhood compared to these kids who are working, regular jobs for their families to survive. It was interesting, very interesting. Then I hung out with the Hmong people, and as part of their culture, the Hmong people grow opium. That was a very interesting couple of days. Yeah, they smoke it, man. Like, like after work, it's like sitting down having a cocktail. And really interesting. They lived in these huts, and when we arrived in town, they were so interested in us. They actually gave us a hut, and the hut was probably like 12 by 12, and they have this Filipino oak. Is it Filipino maple or Filipino oak? I think it's a Filipino oak. It's like a hard wood, and the floor was made of that, but rough cut. Like you could tell that they just split a tree, probably with an axe, but they've had it. The hut was so old, like the best we could tell, because we had studied Laotian before we went, and the best we could tell is that the house was built like 5 or 6 generations ago, and they've lived there for that long, and just from them walking on it, the wood was like so polished, and they were very clean. I mean, the huts were very clean, and they were raised up off the ground, obviously up on stilts, and, well, I guess not so obvious, with thatched roofs, and it was just remarkable. So anyway, they cleared a family out, gave us a hut to stay in for a couple of days, and I guess whoever hut it was went and stayed at their cousin's hut, and we crashed out there for a while, and ate with them and hung out and partied with them. I mean, they were just hanging out. For me, it was partying. I mean, smoking opium. And I'm not recommending drug use to anybody, but if you want the perfect imagery of what it feels like, watch Pulp Fiction after Travolta shoots up and he's driving in the car. And again, I don't advocate the use of drugs and driving, but just how he's kind of getting into the vibe in the car and mellow, and things are like moving around, and he's got this like shit-eating grin on his face. That's exactly it. Exactly it. So lots of fun, man. Lots of fun. So anyway, look at that. I went on a ramp over my coffee. How about we do a little work, and then I got to go back and get some breakfast ready for everybody. So this coffee that I'm drinking now kind of reminds me of that, takes me back to that, like the taste is good. And so it's definitely well worth it. And then the grind, I got a hand grinder because I can control the grind better. And it all comes down to the grind. So this morning I'm grinding my ass off because I've guessed I got to make a ton of coffee. I have an electric grind, but I just can't, you can't finesse the grind in an electric grind. So I could feel it when I'm grinding it by hand, and I don't know, maybe there's something spiritual too that connects me. So this is Dave before sunup. All right. So anyway, here, look. Oh, yeah. You know what? Let's do a first things first. This will probably get me ranting too. No, that's not what I'm looking for. That's what I'm. Did I even get rid of those? All right, CNBC, forget about it. Okay, we got Evan speaking. Actually, he spoke this morning, and this cat was talking about he's afraid that they might go a little too far at this point. Okay, so that gives us some insight into what's going on the table. Now they're looking for signs to ease up. Like, all right, we don't need to be this aggressive, or at least this is the hint that this cat threw out. We got to look at what other people are saying. But, you want an idea next time they sit down at the table. What are they thinking? What are they looking at? Even right now, you want to know that, get a good idea of what effect the news is going to have when it comes out, when you know all the president's minds. So that's that's the first time I've heard a president take that position. And you know what? I don't clock the guy enough to know his demeanor. I mean, over the past since 2008, so you got to say over the past 15 years or 12 years, you're not looking that deep into the Fed because the Feds were easing, they're laying off. There's no, the interest, there was nothing going on with the Fed. You know what I'm saying? So, you had a little action when on interest rate day, but it wasn't, wasn't really something you're delving into. Unless their language started to change, and there was talk of tightening or backing off the easing programs and shit like that. So I didn't collect enough information to really figure if this guy is, generally hawkish or dovish. But anyway, it was quite interesting. That's the first time I heard a Fed raise that fear. And now I'm really going to mull it over, because was his goal to make people nervous on the market? Because I know they want the market down because it's helping them do their job. They don't have to be so aggressive on the interest rates. And if they're not so aggressive on the interest rates, then they're reducing the risk of deteriorating the economy. So I'm sure they're playing a very, very complex and fragile game, juggling, and I'm sure they're aware of that. I know that people like to bitch about the Fed and think there's a bunch of bozos knocking their heads against the wall, but pretty intelligent, sophisticated, experienced people coming up with this, whether you agree with their opinions or not. But I'm sure there's a lot of thought going into it. It's not like they're ordering lunch, sitting around the table, let's raise it. There's a lot of thought and cause and effect that they consider. So we got Bullard, and my general perception of Bullard is he's rather hawkish. He's consistently hawkish. So, it'll be interesting to hear what he has to say at 9:55 and watch the markets for that. But today's all about homes, man. We got durables, and we've got new home sales. So it's all about the homes, and home prices are deteriorating. I mean, I clock it all the time, and all I'm seeing is price drop, price drop, price drop, price drop. I affiliated with people in the industry in New York, and they're seeing the slowdown. New York's hot, man. I mean, this cat was making us money through a recession. This guy could put together a house, knew the markets, know where to buy and how to buy, and how to develop, and and he's saying that he's seeing the slowdown. The other thing is New York has become entirely uninvestable, and businesses are deeming it that way. So they're getting a double blow over in New York, because there's no new industry coming in, and I'm talking about big business, and anybody who's there is looking to get out. Taxes are absolutely abusive, and the quality of life is diminishing. And actually, when you're in the city, even the culture's changed. I mean, it's just kiddie city. Back when I first moved in there, it was young professionals building businesses. It was, shortly after the recession, I think 97. When I moved my business into 98, when I moved it into Manhattan. And but now, I mean, on the weekends, it's kids everywhere. And when I say kids, I see young 20s. Although if you go around the Upper West Side, Upper East Side, it's a little more sophisticated, a little more mature. But Yeah, that's what's going on in the city and New York and the home sales. So yeah, that's what we're looking at. Mostly homes. You know, you got non-defense goods. Looking at orders. So they're going to talk about that durable goods orders. That's going to be a topic of interest at 8:32. See if they're you know, picking up, staying the same, or decreasing. So those are the news articles to look out for the short term, for the day trading. You know, you don't, well, a lot of that stuff's before the market opens. But 10 a.m., 10 a.m., 10 a.m., 10 a.m. And then even Wednesday, man, you got the Feds. I mean, these guys are out all the time. Wednesday's always a choppy day prior to the oil report. But you got Bullard out there. You got Bullard again at 10 o'clock. But I think that's his second speech, right? We see Bullard. Bennett. Yeah, we see Bullard talking today, so we're going to know his vibe. I don't think he's going to have too much of an effect unless somebody challenges what he says today and the guy flips. And then look at that, Fed. I mean, yo, I can't remember like all these Feds coming out and, you know, spewing shit all the time. Then grain stocks. I bet people are going to be looking at that. Quarterly grain stocks. Then you got Williams, and that's the week. That's the week. You got Feds all up your butt this week. And today is still the Jewish holiday, so I'm expecting like volume. The markets can get pushed around, which I think they did yesterday. I didn't even trade, and I miss it. I can't wait for tomorrow because I'm jonesing to get in there and take some trades, or at least work on the market a little more. You know, it gets addicting. So, all right, anyway, let's get to it, huh? Here's BTC, and we're in this pennant. Yo, really reliable. On these breaks, you're going to make a few bucks. So keep an eye on this. I mean, this is a long-term chart. It's a daily chart. But on the swing, you get a break, it's going to make a little move. You can pick up a few shekels. Here's bonds. I'm bearish. This is in a downtrend. It's setting up another flag. That's fine. We'll let it do what it's got to do. Don't chase it. I mean, at this point, it's pretty overextended. We should be seeing a bounce pretty soon. I mean, this is quite a move down, you know. And so, yeah, man, look at that. I mean, that's really quite a move. Let's move this sucker over so we get a good view. Think. There it is. Yeah, that's got to be overextended. I don't have any indicators on there. I'm not doing the math, but just on that run, I would be a little conservative and look for a bounce on it. We've sold off pretty aggressively, and I don't think it's all that justified. We had this support. We were watching it over the past week or last week. We kept talking about the support and watching it. It broke, and then ding, 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 ding. It's still moving down, looking like it's setting up a flag. The flag doesn't look that aggressive. Look, that looks kind of indecisive right there. So I'd look for a consolidation down around here. Really cheaper than I anticipated based on everything that's going on. Really, really cheap. So unless there's a fear of a global slowdown and oil's going to be all over the place. But, you know, with this cat and Putin and his forced referendums and everybody talking about nuclear, the use of nuclear weapons to defend the territories, I mean, they're still saying he's bluffing. Zelensky's saying he's not bluffing. I mean, this guy, I mean, they don't want to lose. That's the bottom line. They don't give a fuck about anybody or their people. They don't want to lose. They don't want egg on their face after this move. So yeah, I think that these guys would go to tactical. They don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? If we go to some sort of aggressive world war or not, they're still going to be sitting in their houses, living well, you know, with their servants, eating well, and, you know, partying up. And, you know, if they lose, they can't do that anyway. And, you know, for some people, you know, life isn't that precious, you know. To be alive is not as important as their quality of life. And if they can't be king ding-a-ling, then they figure they're not going to be and nobody else is. So, I don't know, man. We got to watch. This is very, very, very uncomfortable situation. Here's gold. Gold's dropping. Interesting thing about gold, man. One way to control inflation is go back to the gold standard, you know, dollar pegged to gold, currencies pegged to the dollar. And that that would control inflation. That's probably the only real logical way to control inflation. And we used to do that, and then we gravitated away. I think in the 70s, I think Nixon took us off the gold standard. I think that's who did it. But I'm starting to hear that language. You know, I mean, very very early in the day, but the gold equivalent, if they decided to start controlling the economy using that standard, the gold equivalent would be probably between $4,000 and $5,000. So very interesting. You know, I think we're a long way away, but it's something that I'm going to pay attention to, and I might get my long-term interests positioned in that. You know, it's stabilizing currency. You know, that's really like what they need to do. They need to stabilize currency, and that will combat inflation, global inflation. A way to stabilize currency is to peg it back to gold. So anyway, these are my quiet thoughts late in the evenings, early in the mornings. So watch gold. Anyway, it seems rather bearish. You could get involved long with GLD. It's an ETF. You don't have to go out and buy gold. GLD is a good ETF. Clock gold. And again, I'm going to start looking at it. And I'll keep talking about it, giving you my views, so you got a good idea of what I'm thinking and what's going on. Nat gas, gasoline. Pretty sure they're doing the same thing. Here's gasoline. Anybody remember Bush from back in the day? This fucking thing. Yeah, I'm working on changing this, man. I don't want to do this. This just frustrates the shit out of me. Maybe I have it. I'll set up on another one. That's oil. I think I was manipulating the gold things. There we go. RBV. So yeah, come next week, I think we might be taking on a different program. Yeah, look at that. This is a reverse micro trend. It traded down and popped. So there's a lot of seasonality with this, and there's a difference in supply and demand. So not selling off as aggressively, and they usually go together. You could even trade the divergence of the two, you know, by trading one contract long against the other, because it usually holds a consistent spread, and when the spread opens, you could trade the divergence on that. If anybody's interested, drop in tomorrow at 9 o'clock and we could talk a little more about it. So yeah, it's an interesting trade, and it's easy to clock, finding those divergences. And I don't do it unless it's really obvious. And there we go. But I used to do it quite often. It was a regular means of trading. I just found other things that were more aggressive that I put the money towards. But it's a good, almost like an income trade. I mean, you could do it with oil. You could do it with the markets too. You could trade the divergence between different markets, the S&P and the Dow, or the S&P and the Nasdaq. And you know, maybe we'll start talking about that a little more. But so these reverse micro trends, and a dude I followed actually turned me on to this sort of pattern, and it's very, very accurate, man. Like, you start seeing this. So basically, how you identify it is you see this uptrend on the lows, but you see a consistency in the highs, and that kind of points it out. Or, you know, if we're going the other way, it's a continuation pattern. You know, if we're going up, then you'll see a you'll see a downtrend on the highs, but consistent lower lows, and or consistent lows, you know, on a bullish move, and a continuation trade. And when it breaks that trend, it usually moves pretty aggressively. Very reliable setup, something that you should look for. You can see it right here. You see it right here. Reverse microtrend. Let's look at NASDAQ. Give away too much, you guys won't join me at 9 o'clock tomorrow. But if you're liking what I'm doing and you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like, and tell a friend. Nat gas. Triggered a flag and failed. And, you know, a failed bear flag turns into a bullish move. And a failed bull flag turns into a bearish move. So that's what we're looking at here. I mean, we're still in a downtrend. We could say we're bearish pending a failed bear flag right there. So keep your eyes on it. And then we hop on over to the equity markets on, oh, I think I see like kind of it's feeling a little head and shoulderish to me. It's not classic, it's not textbook, but so I would make this a channel really. And I mean, I don't like the single test, or let's open this up and just play with it a little bit. You could probably put your trend there. Just consider this an outlier. Look at those two taps right there, and those are pretty good taps, you know. I mean, although you got another outlier that made the run up there, and that's makes me feel like it's toppy. You know, you know what? I probably would just go with a pennant on this situation. And just take advantage of these two things, keep myself safe. And yeah, I just go outside and put a support right here. And actually, you know what? This is the same thing we were looking at BTC, a little pennant down there. So yeah, I think that's a pretty reliable pattern to look at. And yeah, you know, I'm just saying it's in consolidation, man. I'm neutral breaking these two parameters right here, and we're looking at the futures too, but it should translate onto the S&P during the day. And this is a 240 chart. So your trading inside here is going to be choppy, but intraday, if you take this break, this is a Keltner line too that I'm looking at, which is pretty good, and it'll probably it'll probably challenge this middle line, and that's very interesting when you have two different sets of indicators that coincide. So that's a powerful target, and generally I find that the market will go there, but you can see right here how it behaves when it gets around the midlines. Kind of grinds around there, does a little action around that midline, turns around. You can start looking for shit like that. You know, you get a long top like that. That's like a run on stops. You know, a lot of people will trade this indicator. You take an entry on the break of the middle and then trade it up to the high. And I think that's what you see here. Or these could have been stops, had the push, but didn't have the energy to change the pattern. So you could watch that today. You might see a move today and be able to pick it up right there. And then, yeah, you know, you're low. You're not going to get a good move on the low today until you get through all this mess. You know, and a break of yesterday's low today is obviously a good entry, or obviously based on my parameters. Nothing really that obvious in the market. So that's the S&P 500. And I would imagine, these are minute charts, but I'm not going to mess with them right now. I've wasted enough of your time today. I'd imagine all the markets look relatively the same. Let's just take a quick look at some of the techs and roll them over into a daily chart. See what we're looking at, how they favor. Yeah, this is indecisive, man. This is like typical holiday pattern. You got to tail up, you got to tail down. Oh, there's today's. Okay, so we're breaking through the high and we traded back a little bit. Can't really commit right now, but I would watch it. I kind of feel a little bit of a bounce based on looking at these guys. Well, I guess that's my job, right? Based on looking at these guys. I'm looking for a bounce. I think we're in a little consolidation. I know there's not a lot of conviction out there because there's not a lot of traders out there. People are doing that Jewish New Year thing. That's what Rosh Hashanah is, by the way. It's the Jewish New Year. The New Year according to the Torah, which was everybody's New Year because that was the predominant religion until Jesus had something to say about it. You know, which I believe all that transpired. You know, I know that the Jews probably it was the dominant religion, and somebody opposed it, which is not uncommon in the human history, and probably a real smart cat named Jesus, stood up for equality for everybody. They ended up killing his ass. 300 years later, somebody wrote a book and made him a deity. Yeah, there go all my Christian subscribers. Nah, we're all about the tolerance, right? Everybody's about the tolerance. So I'm sure you tolerate my views. All right, so my software sucks. Apparently, this is because I blasphemed. And I'm going to wrap it up right here. So subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like. I appreciate everybody stopping in, tolerating my rant, and spreading the word. Just remember, man, a lot of inconsistency in the market today and yesterday. So trade light, trade smart. If you're feeling uncomfortable, you're trading too much money, you should be calm, cool, and at peace when you put those trades in. You should genuinely have those feelings. Get a little meditation in before you do it. It's really important that you can control your mind. And, this isn't just lip service. I mean, this is a lifestyle for me. So do that meditation. It makes a big difference in my trading, and I think it will in yours. So that's it, man. I'm out. Good luck with your trades.